just kind of starting out. We did it. Everybody does it. Everybody's done it. And if you haven't, then you're silly. And but it got the phone to ring, and it was something you had a little bit of control over, and it cost you almost nothing. All right, we're on the air, dude. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good. I want to remind everybody as they watch and listen, thank you so much. We're getting a lot more views now over on our YouTube videos. That's getting exciting to me.
Yeah.
Thank you. And anybody that doesn't already know, we have YouTube. We record these in video format. So if you're only listening to audio and you're interested in video, check out the Mechanical Hub YouTube channel. So, Andy, we were talking off air and we said, God, you know what? It's been like an hour. We better start recording this. We were talking about back when we started out, and even today we're doing a little bit of it. Yes. But when we started out, remember when we go on like, oh, there's contractor listing opportunities on all these manufacturer websites.
Right.
And, I can remember just finding like any website, here's this boiler company, here's this water heater company. Like they'll list my company name and phone number on their site, and I can get calls off of that. And you did that, right?
Yeah.
Early on.
Yeah.
And we're still doing it in a sense, but I'm not doing it in the same way. I think at the very beginning, it was like just, oh man, I have this business. I got to get the phone to ring.
Right.
And I thought less about whether or not I truly used those products every day. I guess I wasn't against it by any means, but I was just like glomming onto that opportunity at the time. Does that make sense?
It's one of those things that you lose sight of. And, it's interesting because you brought it up this morning and I hadn't thought about it in a little while, and one of the things that I know about this, after being in business for dang near 15 years doing this, is that you have to renew those. Right?
Yeah, you do. Eventually you have to go back on, take a training or
right. Yeah. You
send them new information.
Yep. And you would think that, I mean, the logical thing is that those manufacturers would bump back and just say, "Hey, are you still interested in being listed on our website?"
And they probably did, but you probably ignored the email.
Yeah, that's possible. So
yeah,
I've been listed for years on InSinkErator's website.
Yeah,
right? And a lot of people go, "Oh, well, who cares?" Right?
Has it produced a fair amount of calls for you?
If anybody has ever installed the little hot water dispensers,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're expensive. That is a premium product at a premium price.
Sure.
Right? We install quite a few of them as replacements. And they're almost all driven by new customers who have found our company information through the website. And at one point in time, probably, 12 years ago, I sat down and took like 5 modules of training on installation of InSinkErator products. Garbage disposals, or garburators, as our northern friends call them.
I refuse to say garburator.
It's like, you got what? What's wrong with your car?
Yeah.
We're not a mechanic.
Yeah. Why don't you get something with fuel injection?
What? Right. Anyway, we ended up with, at one point in time, we were doing a pile. I got pile, meaning like 1 year, I think I did 5 commercial disposals. Like
that's a fair amount.
Horse and a half.
It's not the industry you're really touching very often.
No, like, $2,000-$3,000 disposal type jobs,
Yeah.
Where you're like, all right, yeah, sure. I'm your Huckleberry.
It's just a bigger version of the same old stuff, really. And then you add a water line to it or something, but
water line. They had usually had you could get them with an auto reverse mechanism on them. A lot of them were 3-phase, there's, how many 3-phase, 240 volt disposals you've worked
garbage
on.
Disposals. Yeah. So you could throw the whole chicken wing down there.
Yeah. Well, entire watermelons, they get like a 6 or 8 inch throat on them. You could get rid of a lot of
welcome
product.
to the Make Trades Great Again garbage disposal talk.
Yeah. But those leads all came off their website. Off the fact that I was listed on their website.
Yeah, this is just how people are shopping, right? They're obviously online. They're looking for the product. They end up on the website for that manufacturer because it's where they're going to find the most, reliable information and abundance of it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so like the boiler companies, you and I, it's no secret. We talk about all the time. We have since the start. We do a ton of hydronic work. And so naturally we want to be listed on the manufacturer's sites that sell boilers.
Yeah.
Same is true for anybody in our industry, or just think about being a plumber. Like you said, InSinkErator, it makes sense. Water heaters, like no matter what kind of work you do, if you're in our industry, plumbing or heating, water heaters. And like I brought it up because I was just looking on my desk here in the office, and I have to register my latest sales trainings to keep up my listing for major tankless water heater manufacturer, Navion, right?
Right.
And that listing on their site has been especially lucrative to me because not only do I work on tankless enthusiastically, like I'm smiling, I'm always, I'm like very happy, tankless. No,
right.
No, I've been working on tankless water heaters for 20 years or more, longer. Sure. And, boilers as well. And so like, that's a perfect fit for a company like mine. Like, yes, I want to service their product. I want to install their product. I want to take care of their existing customers. And so being listed on their site has been like,
yeah,
but it was there's some qualification to it. Like I had to put the time in. It just didn't get to go on and sign up. Unlike some others, like, I still every once in a while get a call from, a customer who's had a 30-year-old for 30 years has had a Weil McLean boiler, cast iron boiler in their basement, and it just hasn't been right the last couple of years. Time for a new one, that kind of thing. And they call and they say, well, we just want another one. And I'm like, this was the best 10 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
Putting my company name on that site because I will sell them that product. That's what they want. That's, it's what you do for your customer. If they're asking you for something, you don't try to talk them out of it.
Yeah.
As long as it's the right product and whatnot. And so, yeah, that was huge. And so I guess to tie it back into where we started was just kind of starting out. We did it. Everybody does it. Everybody's done it. And if you haven't, then you're silly. But it got the phone to ring, and it was something you had a little bit of control over, and it cost you almost nothing. Right. Yeah. Do you do it the same though? Like, do you see like when so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah.
Little out of character to ask you this kind of question, but like when you did it, were you putting your name just anywhere?
Yeah, largely.
Even if it was product that you weren't necessarily like always pushing,
always installing.
Like yeah,
absolutely. I mean, in the very beginning, I was an InSinkErator fan, right? Like I've always been, hey, come put a disposal in my house. We're picking up an InSinkErator. That's what
I
we're
agree
bringing.
With that 100%, by
right?
the way.
Like I'm not, Moen came out with theirs. I have no issues with that Moen disposal, right?
No, it's probably a great product.
Yeah. We had a couple of companies here, or a couple of supply houses that were like Frankie, I think, or
a different brand.
Yeah, what was it?
Like there's something
Whirlaway?
Like Frost, some kind of King or something like that.
Waste King.
Waste King, yeah.
Yep. So you see those, and I don't have any issue with any of them. We just had a huge presence of InSinkErator, so that was always what I knew. And
I think they invented it, so there you go. There's something there.
Could be something to do with that. But anyway, so when I first went into do that on InSinkErator's website, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. So then I immediately jumped on, I was already listed with Lochinvar at the time because that's who I was doing it with. And we started getting some leads out of the InSinkErator thing. And I was like, this is pretty cool, because you think about it, there's a lot of people that have that product or something similar, right? And so when they're like, who works on the dishwasher? Or who works on the disposal?
Yeah.
Is that an electrician? Is that like, do you call the appliance repair company? They immediately go back to, or, not immediately, but I think they naturally gravitate towards the website to find information. And so when we started getting a few calls from that, I thought, well, I need to make sure I'm listed here. And then I don't remember what the deal was. Somebody called me, one of my local sales guys, and was like, "Hey, we're doing this, this deal. If you, come take this training, we'll list you on their website too." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went and took I think it was a Weil McLean Ultra training, like Ultra 3 or 4.
Oh, back in like 2006 or 7, probably.
Something like that. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, I remember taking that training before I started the business. I should look and see if I can transfer that to me now." Right. So I called my Weil McLean rep, and I'm like, "Hey, I need to get listed on your guys' website. This is what we do." And blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah. Let's get you listed. And so we got listed on Weil McLean. And then it kind of snowballed from there to, hey, let's get on Slant Fin's website. Let's get on everybody. Let's get on every boiler manufacturer's website. Why wouldn't we?
I have okay. So because of that, right there, I'm stopping you. I look at it differently today though than I did back then. So I did the same thing as you. I mean, I already said that. I try to get listed everywhere, get that phone to ring.
Sure.
I felt like it was a free advertising kind of thing. And now I have a beef with like the process, because I feel like there needs to be a little more qualification, right? And so some of the companies have tried to say, well, you have to take our training and then we'll list you. Okay, I get that. That's fine. We're all on a level playing field. But then there's probably always going to be this, but there's a big company in my area, and I don't have a beef with that company. There's a big service company in my area. They're way bigger than me, and they're dozens of trucks, that kind of thing. But they're listed on a major boiler company's website. Like, I don't know why I'm trying not to say it. It's Viessmann. You and I talk about Viessmann all the time. But this company doesn't even sell their product, and I know this. I know it because I get told it by customers all the time. Right. Like, honestly, I get told this probably, I don't know, at least 5 times a year.
Yeah.
Well, I called that company and they're 4 or 5 days out, and they told me that, if I wanted to talk about a different product, they could come sooner or something. I'm like, wait, what? Right. You called them because they're listed on the website as a contractor near you, and they are going to push somebody else's product. I hate that.
Yeah.
It just bothers me so much that that's how these companies are doing business. So they're, they're doing the same thing. It's an opportunity. They got listed on the site, and they're just trying to get their phone to ring. But
they are getting their phone to ring. And part of that is, I'm not necessarily, looking at like, hey, I got listed on Navient's website so they could go in and sell Viessmann boilers. But I'm also completely okay with going in and fixing a Utica boiler, or going in and fixing a Slant Fin boiler, or fixing a Burnham boiler, or whatever brand. I don't care what brand it is. We can fix it. If we can get parts for it, I can fix it.
Right.
Within reason. And a lot of, I can understand your frustration on that, because there are companies out there that lead generation is specifically there to push a different product.
I know.
I just looked at a boiler yesterday. So get this, 4-year-old KHB Lochinvar, KHB 150, 155, I think.
Yep.
So nice boiler.
Floor mount, high efficiency.
Yeah, high efficiency, 4 years old, never been serviced. Then I'm like, okay.
Well, that's number one. We got to do that.
Right. Installing contractor comes in and works on it a couple of times. Customers kind of frustrated. It didn't work quite right. So they call somebody else. Right. Next company comes in, says, hey, this is what's going on. They're like, well, we should service it, but we're not going to open it up because somebody has RTV silicone the top down. What? And the customer's like, what the heck? That doesn't even make any sense. But he doesn't know. He just sees this red silicone sticking out from the edge of between the burner door and the heat exchanger. So he's like, seriously, somebody like glued my door back on and now it's ruined. Okay. So they don't service it.
Yeah.
The condensate drain switch keeps shutting it off. So they jumper the condensate drain switch.
Oh.
And then, it's, this and that, and all these excuses of why we can't service this boiler, and you need to replace it. Right. Keep pushing the replacement,
It's 4 years old.
It's 4 years old. Right. And I'm like, what the heck? What's going on here? So he calls an engineering firm in town to come assess his system to figure out like, what did we miss here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So engineering firm goes up there, looks at it. Yeah, this is not quite right. This, gives it like 4 or 5 bullet points of, deficiencies on the system, basically. And so this guy sends me this list and says, hey, this is what the engineering firm, I hired these guys to do this. Can you come up, tell me how we fix these things, right? Because they're an engineering firm, they don't fix things. I'm like, yep, absolutely. I go up and look at it and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, you got 3 zones of radiant and 1 zone of baseboard. Common header, no differentiation in water supply temp.
Yeah, it's just you can't supply a different temp.
Right. So I'm like, well, that doesn't work. And he's like, well, we could put a mixing valve on it is what everybody's telling me. And I'm like, nah, well, your baseboard's like 15 years old. Why don't we replace the baseboard with low temp emitters and just call it a thing? And he's like,
that's an option?
Like what? Like, I didn't know we could do that. And I'm like, yep, we can do that. He's like, all right, is it expensive? I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, it's not cheap, but I don't know. I mean, is it adding a mixing valve and dealing with the fact that this boiler's going to short cycle itself to death? I don't, whatever. I said, this is definitely an option. So we move on to that. And he says, all right, well, what about this silicone gasket? And I'm like, well, I look in there. It's the factory gasket. Lochinvar comes with a red silicone impregnated heat shield on the top of the burner door.
Yeah, it's a little over 1/8 inch thick, and it's probably like 3/16 or something like that.
Yeah, that's normal. That came on the boiler. He's like, what do you mean it came on the boiler? I'm like, that's what it came with.
It's reusable.
Yeah,
it's just
never been
opened up. It's not silicone at all.
Yeah. He's like, I can't even believe these guys were trying to sell me a new boiler because
it's because they didn't know what they're looking at.
Yeah. And that's normal.
Yeah.
It's normal in this day and age, and I don't know why. I mean, you don't take your car down to the dealership and they go, oh, you need a new engine.
Well, I think these companies too, they're not empowering their guys. Let's say that they're
it's all about upsell.
Yeah. They're teaching them to sell them something new. They're typically not even selling them a service. No. You know what I mean?
No.
These are parts changing companies. Yeah. They really are.
Yeah. But that's a lead that came probably partly due to something, some sort of listing or something like that. Engineering firm, whatever. I don't know.
Well, it's going to work out. So what did you find a solution they agreed to?
Yeah, we're going to go service his boiler next week.
Right. But are you doing anything with the piping and emitters and stuff?
Providing a quote for replacing the baseboard with some Runtle or Smith AG.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be I don't know.
I really like that Smith stuff. Yeah. I know you and I have talked about it a lot. It's really inexpensive comparative to Runtle.
Yeah.
It's not the same product.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for the most bang for your buck, all around, like I can't find anything wrong with it. That's the thing, is it's like that quality of a product.
I think we're going to go with some 4-foot Runtle in there. And the reason being is he wants to get the baseboard configuration in this second floor is just goofy. Like it comes into both rooms on weird walls and does an L shape. There's 6 feet of baseboard in each bedroom. Right. That's what's upstairs is 2 bedrooms, 6 feet on each room. So it's not a big load. Right. And so I'm looking at it. It's open to the main floor down below. So he goes, I don't even know that the heat ever runs up there. And I'm like, all right, well, first off, I said, let's try this. I moved the demands, space heat 2 demand to space heat 1. So it quits thinking about the higher water temperature and just is running the baseboard at whatever the radiant temp is.
And see if it changes.
I'm like, just tell me if those rooms are cold. Let's just start there. I said, you may not even need any heat up there.
Yeah.
Or you may not need any additional heat, so if that's the case, then leave the baseboard as is. I said, we're basing this off of everybody assumed that the design temp of this baseboard needed to be, 4,000 BTUs a bedroom.
Well, it probably does need to be a little bit more higher temperature water in order to get the output that you need.
But we may not need any output, right? Because it's a second
the load
floor,
might be way smaller than
and that's kind of where I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to calculate these kinds of things. I mean, anyway, it's not something you easily calculate. Well, what is the gravity load from an open loft area below? That's not in your heat loss calculator.
I know it makes it tough. So that's why you kind of try to overshoot it a little bit.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
because you
anyway.
can't size it quite the same. Like it doesn't technically calculate the same way. So
Right. Heat
there's
loss
that.
is heat loss, but where does the heat actually transmit from is trying to a little bit harder to calculate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I brought this up because I was looking at that paper on the table the other like a couple weeks ago. I know you and I talked about it, but I got a call from the Navient site. And so because I did not work on this system, they found me and they're like, "Hey, you're listed. Looked at your website. You got a bunch of reviews. Good job. Can you come take a look at our combi boiler?" It just got red tagged from because we have this gas company that offers like a membership service. I forget what the hell it's even called, but Centerpoint Energy is a company and you can pay them and to cover your appliances, right? And they'll make repairs and whatnot, but you're paying like a monthly fee. But they don't do the work on the boilers and stuff. They just don't. They tell you got to call a plumber. And so they don't refer people exactly. You know what I mean? Like that's a company policy. Maybe somebody probably is out there. One of their techs is probably given people's names, but as a company, they don't. But anyway, I get that call and it was through the website and it's a lucrative deal. It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm not over here doing what's the guy from The Simpsons that's like doing steeple fingers and he's like, yeah, Mr. Burns or whatever. I'm not that dude, but obviously it's worked out well for me, but I also work on their product. I stock parts kits, that kind of thing.
Right.
And I'm not turning away at all. And if they need a replacement, I'll replace it with that product. I'm not going to, do that company dirty and sell them something else. Cause if they were my lead generation and this customer is happy with the product, they just need a new one or whatever. I'm not going to do that. I don't think that that's honest. And I don't think that that's cool. And I just got done saying a few minutes ago, I think it's bullshit that these companies don't even push the products that they're being referred from, so.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there could be good reason not to do that in certain cases. Maybe that company's product today sucks and it didn't at one point in time,
Right.
But, if the call comes in and somebody's looking for that brand, I'm not going to, I just don't think that that's honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the days have changed from when I was starting out 20 years ago and like just looking to get the phone to ring. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking to get the phone to ring regardless. But I think this is, for the people starting out, don't look past that. And if you look into how you can even improve, like maybe there's something you're interested in. Maybe they have some kind of program you don't know about.
Right.
First things first, just get on their website and see if there's a find a contractor kind of thing.
Yeah.
And why isn't your name there?
That's an easy, essentially almost cost-free means of just basically doing some lead generation.
Yeah.
Some of these people are going to be tire kickers. Over the years, I've gotten a number of InSinkErator calls that are warranty calls.
Okay.
And, they're like, hey, this is under warranty. And so you're not actually selling any parts, the labor's typically not covered, but those aren't bad, right? I mean, you got to look at that and go, well, you know what, today, maybe I'm not going to make a sale on a product, but maybe today I'm going to get a new customer out of the deal because I went in and I took care of them. I provided them a service. We got their warranty covered. They're they're happy about the fact that their device that they've already paid for is working again, or there's a plan to make it work again. And almost always those kinds of interactions turn into, hey, while you're here, can you look at this toilet or can you look at this water heater? Or what do you guys know about furnaces? Do you guys service furnaces?
Right.
Yep. Sure do. Yep. And those things turn into long-lasting customer relationships. So
there's huge value in that. You're not wrong. I mean, you never know that what a customer might bring in the future. You don't know that.
Yeah.
And you can't even predict that because look, I've seen some palatial estates and you kind of think like, oh, if I do this job, maybe this could be a good customer. And then they never call you again. For whatever reason, or that's just not what they do. Maybe they're just not loyal to somebody or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it goes both ways, right? You can't predict it, put it that way.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Dude, getting the phone to ring is obviously important. There's no doubt about that. And even today it is, but maybe going around about different ways of getting these listings. I need to look through and see what I got.
Yeah.
Like I just was making a list before, while we're recording. I know I'm on like the Navient and Viessmann. Those were qualified. Like you have to sell the product for a certain amount of years, that kind of thing. I think they can get people around that, but then we did the, we're listed as the is it Vipro? What do you call it?
Vipro. No. Is it? No, it's V.
I don't know. I mean, it's VIPRO, but they're Viessmann. So like,
it's not Viessmann.
Right.
I had one of them say something. I was like, I have Vipro, and he's like, it's not Viessmann, it's Viessmann.
Yeah, so Vipro then. We're going to go Vipro.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, you had to qualify by installing so many units over a certain amount of time and whatnot. Yeah. The Navient thing, you have to take classes. And I know a lot of people have it, and you wonder sometimes you get it in the Facebook group. But, I'm proud of what I do, and I'm going to quality service, and I'm glad to be listed. But yeah, I was looking out else, Bradford White, which is one of our sponsors at Mechanical Hub and for the podcast and whatnot. But I just installed a Bradford White yesterday. Like I install their tank water heaters like all the freaking time.
Yeah.
So,
well, and there's some of those things that you kind of go, well, what I don't know what products to get on. Well, walk through your house and look, what kind of homeowner interfaces do you have that are there? Okay. Get listed on Moen's website. Get listed on Delta's website if you can.
Yeah, the obvious ones should be stuff like that.
Honeywell, Ecobee, Resideo, whatever, Nest. I mean, there's a ton of those different lead generation services like that. And they're not lead generation services in that particular case, but they're places where you can go for little or no financial input and say, hey, I'm a contractor. Please list me on your website, or walk through the steps. Maybe it's take some training. Take these online webinars and we'll list you as a pro. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's easy enough. That kind of sums it up. Look around, and then pay attention when you're in and out of customers' houses. What do you see out there? You want to obviously try to get calls for stuff that's existing in your area, not stuff that's totally new. Like, yeah, you want that stuff that's going to break down after it's years or decades old. So right on, brother. All right, dude. I want to remind everybody, I did already about the videos on YouTube. Yep. If you're listening audio, check us out on YouTube if you want. You don't have to. And then you can also stream the audio there. Yeah. Without video if you want. That's another option. Feedback. We're always looking for feedback, so we'd love to hear from you. And there's a text link in your podcast app. You can send us a text. And it's like basically anonymous. It'll tell us what city you're in, and you can leave us your name and whatnot in there, and we'll try to get back to you. We try to answer those. We just did in our last episode. So that's fun. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
And Andy, I appreciate it, man.
Yep. You as well.
All right, dude. Have a good one.